Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with Master of Command by the Armchair Historian team. This game is trying to compete with Total War, at least in terms of the battles. The campaign is a very different style, however. We do have the Rise of Frederick, which I think it's a series of battles, but we would see about that. But for now, I'm just going to start a new campaign. You can play as Great Britain, the Austro-Hungarians, or rather the Habsburgs, in this time period, the Kingdom of Prussia under Frederick the Great, or the soon-to-be Frederick the Great, the Russian Empire, and the Kingdom of France. And we do have various options right here with regards to what kind of units we do have. We do have various benefits. You can get reservists, which are needed to replenish your units. You can get reservists by visiting the first time you visit a settlement. There's all kinds of different benefits right here, and you do have different starting armies. So if you want to play with artillery, you can get an artillery battalion as the Habsburgs. You do have different starting units. So Prussia, for instance, has cav. The Austrians have artillery. The British also have cavalry, provincial cavalry. So we do have a unit upgrade system here, as well as different starting items that we can equip on our units. Now, difficulty-wise, ignoring that for a moment, difficulty-wise, you can set different modifiers over here. So you have legendary difficulty, you have casual difficulty. You can also just basically disable all of them. That is what I'm going to play with. The reason I'm going to play with this is I'm not really too fond of stat modifiers for an AI faction to supposedly increase the difficulty of anything. That is my perspective. It depends on, of course, how the game is. But honestly, if I'm just looking at these kind of difficulty modifiers, they just seem like, oh, let's make things slower and more annoying for the player because that's difficulty. You also have an Iron Man mode. I'm not going to play with that. That's more to do with me being a YouTuber. Having good, reliable saves is an important factor. I mean, I've certainly played enough games with Iron Man mode. It's just not really interesting anymore. By the way, you do have different starting resources. So you do have the Imperial Army, the Lower Rhine Army, the Crownland Corps, and the British Expedition. So different kinds of starting resources, ammo, provisions, talers, so currency available there. Tobacco rations. Okay. You know, the Armchair Historian team clearly is working on the game. So we do have a mission board. Your aide-de-camp has presented 3 locations to campaign in. Once selected, the other 2 missions are removed and the new ones are generated later. Each mission has 2 unique side objectives, okay, and by selecting, alright. So we can occupy Hanover, we can invade Saxony, or we can suppress France. Siege 2 forts, secure 6 settlements, so we do have that option. These missions, by the way, seem to be randomized when you start a campaign, so the side objectives at the very least seem to be randomized. So let's go with Hanover, and let us begin. Really nice loading screens. And that is going to generate the map. So, okay, welcome to your camp. Let's ignore that for a moment. So we have our army. It has 1 brigade at the moment. It has 1 Prussian musketeer, 2 cantonist recruits, 1 Prussian provincial cavalry unit. We do have different options over here. So let's just give pocket Bibles. Yes, ignore that. Might need to disable tutorial. Then we have field musicians, reload accuracy. I don't think I want to give regimental staff right here for these guys, for the cav, because cavalry can probably lose it's controlled very, very quickly. We do have different slots right here. We also have different weapons available for various people. So, you know, field musician. Basically, these Prussian musketeers, they're going to be the core unit I use. I can also upgrade them all the way to Prussian veteran grenadiers or Prussian lifeguards. I'm reminded of Bannerlord with regards to this system. Not really in a bad way, just pointing out, but I do think there's the potential of a lot of different micromanagement here. You can purchase a new brigade. I don't have the money for that right now. And so yeah, here we are. Your army stands at the frontier. Okay. So we're random map, region map. So we have to siege 2 forts. We have to secure 6 elements, and we have to defeat the enemy HQ. And we can move this faster. So the enemy HQ is right there, I guess? Probably. We'll find out. Yeah, okay, so it's right there. Okay, so we gotta do that. But we also want to do what those 2 forts. So what do we have here? A supply cache. Okay, we got an encounter. We'll take their coin. We can fight a small enemy army. For some coin. Now, one of the things that I would like to point out is there's no auto-resolve in the game. And the thing about that is a lot of these battles very quickly will become very, very clear. I think on any difficulty, really. It's just the question of, like, you know, getting used to various things. But it is going to become the question of, like, you know, fighting a lot of these battles constantly, you know, draining yourself, all that kind of stuff, right? This is the reason why games like these need to allow you to auto-resolve, and it needs to be good, because, you know, this can get pretty tedious very quickly. I'm just going to go in the settings menu over here, and we're just going to scroll down, because I think there is button to disable the UI. I think there is a button. Maybe I just missed it earlier already. So, oh yeah. Right shift plus F. I'm not sure what why would you do that? But yeah, so we got cinematic mode. It's also the question of, like, oh, you want to look at your troops. Mind you, the graphics are, you know, nothing spectacular. It is a small title, right? It's not, you know, it's not an expensive game. This is maxed out settings, I believe. Okay, ignore that, and we can deploy. Yes, I get it. Should have disabled that tutorial, really. So we got, it kind of feels like, to be honest, it feels really as Ultimate General Civil War more than anything. So we got an enemy detachment right there that's holding that position. And yes, we can speed it up. We can also, yes, we get it. Now, cavalry charges need to be handled correctly. We do have different things to keep in mind here, though. So we got different stances for units. We can see our lovely stats right there. So what I think I'm going to do is, we do have those 2 infantry units right there marching towards us. And we're going to engage them. There is a reload time. Charges, the reason I say this game reminds me a lot about Ultimate General Civil War is because, like in that game, ranged units can do damage, but it's more damage over time, right? So when you're looking at this kind of situation, you can do a lot of damage in a melee charge. So we're just gonna wait for them to fire. So our guys have fired. And there seems to be a charge meter. Okay, let's see that. Yes, units can be very, very slow. All right, so we take down their cav. And we win the battle. At the very least, you don't have to rout the entire enemy army to be able to win over here. Really nice loading screens. I do like the art style. Can't say I necessarily like the prospect of having to fight a lot of battles, so we do have post-battle options. Total War. It feels more like an RPG Total War game than anything else. So we can exchange for veterans and get provisions. We can exchange for reservists. So reservists is the pool of manpower that we do have. So that can be useful. Or, yeah, I'm gonna go with reservists. Right there. So, you know, basically post-battle replenishment options right there. Yeah, regiments. Okay, okay, okay. So we're also going to do that. It does cost money. So melee damage, I think that would work very well for them. That would reduce their accuracy. Let's increase their morale. Okay. So yeah, they're level 0, so they haven't really leveled up. We can sell that. Ammo consumption, minus 35%. Cover base, let's use that. Can use charge. Yeah, let's just take that and... Oh. Okay, okay, okay. So we can't give them 2 alcohol rations, unfortunately. That would be a bit ridiculous, wouldn't it? You can also customize a lot of different things over here. So you can change the hat, you can change the hair, the head, you name it. Okay, so that was our first situation. And then we've got settlement. That is an enemy group. Okay, so we're gonna go into the quartermaster and we're going to sell our captured stuff so we get some money. I'm not sure I care too much about that. Confirm that for the moment, and we don't have... We got the town square. We can also sack settlements, by the way. So let's take a look at what we got. So we got Prussian Fusiliers, that's 700. We don't have that money, unfortunately, but we might do so soon enough. But we got various stances. We got Force March, Campaign Movement Range, Attrition, Campaign Visibility, Replenishment, Raiding stance. So that means we can raid settlements, which, yeah, we gotta secure different settlements. We also may have objectives. Then we got Forage for provisions, so we can see our provisions and all that kind of stuff right there. The army is pursuing you. So the battle right there, he outnumber us a bit. We are dealing with the British. Treacherous Albion. Right there. Alright, here we go. They do have artillery right there, and they also have different troops. So those are recruits, more recruits, and there's the elite of the British Army. Okay. Here's how we're going to do it. It is an open battlefield, and that is obviously going to be something of a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our we're going to advance against the enemy. Full formation. And we are going to... I think I'm going to deploy these guys right there. General behind. Yes, it will be a costly affair to do so while under artillery barrage. Why do games love to start you without artillery? Especially in a period where, you know, it matters. Yeah, you can play the Habsburgs. You can have initial artillery if you want to. I know. There are... We can make an attack column if we want to, and that might be very useful if we... Okay, what is the situation that we got there? Now, because attack columns can be important. Okay, so we got the Highland Foot marching right there. If we can pull them back. Okay, enemy artillery has been dealt with, but we're not out of the woods. We've just entered the woods, quite literally. So yeah, just redeploy. Now, again, I can form an attack column. Yes, formations do matter. Let's see the elites. Bring my general. Try and shatter them. Okay. They're just the recruits left, I think. Yeah, let's see if they win. The more exhausted force will lose, huh? There we go. Bit of a tricky battle. Yeah, attack columns. Napoleonic era attack columns. Concentration of forward force. You don't want to do that when you got artillery on the field. That's why it's such a problem. But one sharp blow and the war is over. So we got blanket rolls. Okay. Light socket bayonets, large canteens. We can... What are we missing, really? Reservists, veterancy, provisions. So they leveled up a bit. We can also form a new brigade. If we want to. Bit of a tricky affair. Oh, we can also give these guys socket bayonets. Indeed. So level 1, level 1. But yeah, we can form another brigade. Town square. And purchase a new brigade, but we don't have the money for it. Yep, just use those guys for, you know, reserve units. And take that out. Drill. What's we got there? Oh. So when... Okay, town square. We can also check the barracks. Prussian Fusiliers. Let's raid. Raiding is good. Raiding gives us power. Nice. Friendly markets, that's a trade hub, that's a fort. There's also a battlefield right there. And we got a new officer. Nice. Second brigade is up. Alright, town square. So we can get new officers over there. We can also go to the foundry, but we could really use some more damn artillery. Not gonna lie. There are, of course, different things you can buy, right? Hussars. Hussars. Let's say we sell that one, and also this one. Doesn't seem particularly great. Sell the cheese. This cheese must not be broken. So we got various forts right here, so we gotta secure several towns. Let's see how a fort battle is. I think I'm gonna save. Okay, we can choose a doctrine. Tolerance daily, morale. Yep, let's go with that. That's another fort right there. Let's see how it is. Okay, we can choose a doctrine. So there's no 4 battles, unfortunately. Yeah, that's how a siege works, huh? Fair enough. Pretty nice little game, obviously. A lot of different things to sort out, to figure out. At Val, fighting enemy artillery so early on, with none of my own. Anyway, that's it for now. Christine signing out. Hope you'll like this. I'll check it out later. Stay tuned.